Okay, so I'm live. It is almost 1 o'clock, a little bit late. I was trying to get in the last of the Miami, California college football game here, but ran out of time here. So it's 12:57. It is very, very early Sunday morning, 10/6/2024. Going to go over some of the missing person case of the week, true crime events, and let me having problems with my toolbar here. Let me play an intro and I'll be right back. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well. Let's play this. Be right back. All right, so we are live. Hey, buddy, what's up? What's going on, man? Good to see you. Hey, FarQ, good to see you. Sorry, I'm a little late. Let's see here. Let me see if I can get a score. I've been trying to watch this Miami, California game here, college football, but it's in a commercial right now. So let's. I'll check in on that a little later. What's this here? Okay, got that. All right, so hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's had a good week. It's been another long week for me. But we're going to go over the true crime cases of the week. I want to go over a missing persons case of the week, Brittany Ambrose T. And then we'll maybe finish up with the tropics. So, again, I hope everybody's well. I'm having troubles with my toolbar down here, though. Hey, Heather, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Let me get rid of that. I'm inside tonight because it's maybe 40 degrees out, so I'm not going to be outside. So if you hear noises, that's coming from in the house. But anyways, let's get going. So let's see here. What can we do first? Let's go to let's start with this here. We're going to go. We covered this a little bit last week. This is hold on a second. This is all right. So we're going to start off here. This is this Najee Harris unaliving, and this is the almost kind of like the same kind of case as the Stephen Stearns case, the Madeline Soto case. This guy here is a real piece of dog shit here. He allegedly, anyways. But let me share this here. We covered this a little bit last week. You're not feeling the best? Oh, that sucks. I feel bad for you, FarQ. I got woken up this morning trying to go to sleep because of the rabbit that we have over there somewhere. Has what they call the snuffles. I don't know if anybody's heard of that before, but it's terrible. Kind of rough to. Well, I hope you both feel better. What the hell's going on in my chat? Everybody's getting ill. It's the time of the year, though, man. This is beginning of fall almost, so people get. But it's strange. I never knew the rabbits could get what they call snuffles. It's basically like a nasal congestion type thing. So I hope. Hey, Miracle Hearts, good to see you. All right, so we're going to start off here. We went over this last week a little bit. This is the case of Najee Harris last week, and this guy here is being accused of unaliving her and grooming her. Jarvis Butt stood mute during the hearing, waiving the formal reading of the charges while in court. He's already serving time for separate conviction. His defense attorney did not object to prosecutors' request that he remain in custody. He is facing various CSA conduct charges and from 3 separate cases. So this guy here is just nothing but trouble. Well, let's start here. So we went over this a little bit last week here. This is coming out of Detroit.
Okay. This is calling case number, Mr. Butts has 3 cases. Case number 240596191, Houston, Michigan versus Jarvis Butts. Case number 24059611801, Houston, Michigan versus Jarvis Butts. And
hello, Melissa. Good to see you. Melissa's here. Good to see Melissa. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a bunny have that kind of an affliction before, but it is what it is. So we're keeping an eye on it. My daughter's really good with animals, so she's got like Vicks, vapor rub stuff going, and it's so weird. I've never seen anything like that before, but I'm sure it happens. All right, back to this here.
Case number 24059611701, Houston, Michigan versus Jarvis Butts. Appearances from the people.
Yes. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Matthew Makepeace on behalf of the people, P82796.
Good afternoon. Okay, Ms. Quick.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service by Cheryl Quebec, P83973 on behalf of Jarvis Butts. I believe co-counsel is present. Ken Riggins.
Yes, he is.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon to your staff. Neighborhood Defender Services by Ken Riggins, P82125 on behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts, who stands with me to my right.
Okay, Ms. Quick, Mr. Riggins, do you waive from reading standing?
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, court order not
Yes, Your Honor.
Court order not guilty on behalf of the client with respect to all 3 cases. My recommendation from the people.
Yes, Judge. People are requesting a remand.
On all 3?
Yes, Judge.
Can you
Hey, Nick Hamilton, good to see you. Good to see you. Who else snuck in here? Good to see everybody tonight. Hope everybody's feeling the best. I know Faki's not feeling all that good, and Heather's not feeling all that good. So hope everybody starts feeling better here. Let's go. So this is the Najee Harris case over there in Detroit, and this guy here, this is his hearing in court here. They denied him bail already, I think.
Can you give us just a brief summary for each case?
Yes, Judge.
Very, relatively brief, yes.
Sure, Judge. Starting with the case ending in 619.
This is going to be a little disturbing too, because what this guy did is a little bit triggering here.
That is a criminal sexual conduct in the 1st degree with added charges of criminal sexual conduct in the 2nd degree. That is for Mr. Butt's biological daughter, and she was around 8 or 9 when the touchings first started happening, and 10 when she was penetrated. Mr. Butts is.
Yeah, I guess that you can do the kind of same thing with rabbits that you can with people, like Vicks when they get the snuffles or something like that. Hey, Paula, how are you? Good to see you. So my daughter's got the whole Vicks things going on. It's just so weird. I've never heard of anything like that in my life, but apparently animals can get sick too. And we have, it's almost like a mini zoo in here. We have tons of animals, so I just don't want, any of the other ones to get. It's an outdoor rabbit, so I don't know why it would get. I don't know. I just, when it comes to this stuff, I just let them take care of it, and I just you know, if they need money, I just give them money. It's whatever we have to do. I don't know. Let me, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hide my face because my toolbar, anyways, let's get back to this here.
A habitual offender, fourth offense notice, mandatory 25 years. And he also has a prior conviction for criminal sexual conduct in the third degree with the person 13 through 15.
Can you give background on those two cases, please?
Yes, and as it relates to case ending in 618, that is one count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree. He does have the second offense
There we go.
notice on
Did
that,
it.
along with the habitual fourth offense, mandatory 25. That case is for the sexual assault of a 4-year-old minor. She was 4 years old at the time, and she was the daughter of one of Mr. Butt's girlfriends at the time, and I believe her to have contracted.
Hey, Dandy, how are you? Good to see you again. Hey, it's Vid Inquiries. She had a great live tonight. She was, I think she was, they were going around the neighborhood for Halloween displays and stuff like that. I was checking in with Vid Inquiries while I was watching college football. If it's, if it's a big college football day, I pretty much work my day around that. But it was good to catch her live. She's a great channel, great channel. Good to see you though, Dandy. Saw you earlier today. I think it was in Mom's chat. Mom had a good chat too today. Minor Monsters had a good chat. It's always good to see everybody here. Yes, the cool haunted house stuff. That was awesome. Yep, absolutely. You can tell it's fall when you start seeing Halloween shit. All right, so let's get back to this here.
Chlamydia. And as it relates
This guy here is, pretty much a scumbag. Just a horrible person.
to the case ending in 617, that case involves the missing 13-year-old Neziah Harris. Neziah went missing on January 9th of 2024 after last being seen alive with Jarvis Butts. Mr. Butts is a serial child rapist and murderer. The evidence will show that Jarvis Butts has been sexually assaulting Neziah Harris since at least the fall of 2022, and that Neziah Harris was pregnant with Jarvis Butts' child on January 9th.
People have great channels, like Vid Inquiry's got a great channel. Mom's got a great channel. Problem is I'm usually not up during the day because I work nights. So, but I try to, catch as many lives as I possibly can. And of course, Southern Gal's got a great channel. Mara's got a great channel, all great channels. All right, so let's get back to this here. Sicko, this sicko is, I think he's in his 20s.
9th of 2024, and that Mr. Butts was aware of this pregnancy. Jarvis Butts was supposed to turn himself in on January 9th of 2024.
So this guy here allegedly was dating these women that had younger children for that sole purpose to groom and, essay these children. So this guy here is just a nightmare person. He doesn't need to be out of prison at all, ever.
To serve a year-long sentence for CCW, the state ultimately got moved to
Look at this guy here in the background, this cop here. He's looking like sometimes you just wish. Just saying.
February 7th of 2024, allowing him the opportunity and time to take care of his Neziah Harris problem. And that's exactly what Mr. Butts did. While Neziah Harris's body has still not been found, the evidence recovered points to only one devastating outcome. Although Jarvis Butts is currently serving a sentence for CCW, that's no excuse for his bond in this case to be anything but a remand. Jarvis Butts has been a convicted child rapist since 2025, as I mentioned, or 2005, I'm sorry. And as I mentioned prior, he is.
It's Jocelyn. How are you, Jocelyn? Good to see you. Jocelyn's awesome. It's always good to see Jocelyn here. like I said, I hope everybody's doing well. Just going over this criminal case here with the Najee Harris. Najee Harris, listen to me. Yep, Najee Harris. Najee Harris is a football player, but yeah, it's crazy.
A habitual fourth offender notice with a mandatory 25 years. And if convicted of any of these charges in these cases, that is a mandatory 25. He is an absolute.
We have 6 cats, all adult 6 cats, like big 6 cats. 2 dogs, big dogs. I have a boxer, a lab. Duke is his name, and I got the long-haired shepherd that I paid $4,000 for, and if anybody wants him, they can have him. We got the rabbit. We had 2 guinea pigs. Now we're down to 1 guinea pig, and the bearded dragon. So we have a lot of animals.
Danger to the community and all children. Since getting out of prison, Jarvis Butts has continued to sexually assault children, resulting in now 3 active criminal sexual conduct cases against minors, with no doubt many more out there. The people acknowledge that these charges are allegations at this point, but we're confident in these charges moving forward that the evidence will show that Jarvis Butts not only sexually assaulted and impregnated Najee Harris, but that he ultimately killed her in order to cover up the ongoing assaults and pregnancy.
Thank you, Ms. Whitney.
I don't think they found her yet either, so she's still technically missing. But
For Ms. Quick or Mr. Reagan, any response to the pressure you made?
Well, I will say, all conjecture aside, the one thing she said that is true is Mr. Butts is currently under sentence. As such, he is not eligible to be released, so we are not going to object to the bond at this time.
Okay. Ms. Quick, is there anything you want to add?
No, I defer to Mr. Riggins.
Okay. All right. Court never heard an argument as to bond.
yeah, this guy should get just like a fast track. There should be like a fast track to the prison system for this guy here. I mean, he's got such a historied past with this stuff here. I don't. But I mean, that's the way the law works. Everybody's presumed innocent until guilty. But you know, I don't think this will be a long trial. But you never know, man. It's crazy people.
Remand is provided under MCR 6.106, provided the people show a great presumption of guilt. I think it's more than met their burden. We'll remand Mr. Butts in all 3 cases in custody of Wayne County Jail, other cases pending. Mr. Butts' next court date will be probable cause October 4th, liver examination October 10th, 1:45 p.m., at least tentatively scheduled now for the Judge King. Anything else for the record from either, any attorney?
No, for the people, Judge, thank you.
Nothing from the bench, yeah.
No, Your Honor.
Quick. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Butts, you step aside.
All right, so this guy here, I'll keep an eye on this case here. It's just disgusting. It's just horrible. These people are just so devastatingly horrible. It's not funny. All right, let's play this here. One more from this guy here.
An already horrific story gets worse. A man is charged with murder and sex crimes after investigators say he killed a 13-year-old girl to hide the fact that he had gotten her pregnant. The body of 13-year-old Najee Harris, though, has never been found.
That's despite a lot of searching since her disappearance in January. Today, disturbing new details came to light as 41-year-old Jarvis Butts appeared in court to face several charges, and not just linked to Najee. Sean Lay is live with these new revelations. Sean, it is difficult to even say out loud what this man is accused of doing.
I'm glad you said that, Kimberly. Absolutely. Stomach turning every fact that we're revealing and digging on this story. Absolutely. We're talking about motive here. We're talking about a guy, 41-year-old Jarvis Butts, just inside.
You know, the fact that this guy was able to get away with this stuff for so long after they've known about this and then it had to come to this. You know, that also speaks volume, man. These people get slapped on the wrist for so many offenses, and then it comes down. It's such a sad, it's awful.
36th District Court, prosecutors laying out motive here that at age 13, Naziah Harris, he got her pregnant. He was reporting to prison. He was turning himself in the very day the Naziah went missing. Prosecutors say he could not allow her to have his baby while he was in prison. It would reveal years upon years of sexual abuse. Here's the latest.
Mr. Butts is a serial child rapist and murderer. The evidence will show that Jarvis Butts has been sexually assaulting Naziah Harris since at least the fall of 2022, and that Naziah Harris was pregnant.
This is the first time we are seeing 41-year-old Jarvis Butts in court, accused of the sexual assault and murder of 13-year-old Naziah Harris. And we learned new information from prosecutors today. Naziah went missing January 9th, on the very same day. Butts,
I guess sometimes I can't believe I cover stuff like this. This is just so horrific. It's, oh, good Lord. Oh, yeah.
was due to turn himself in to serve a year sentence for carrying a concealed weapon. Listen closely to Assistant County Prosecutor Tina Ripley.
Look at this guy looking at him. Go ahead, make a move, right? Like, just go ahead, do whatever you got to do, man. This guy here, not liking this guy at all.
Saying Butts had a Naziah Harris problem he had to handle before reporting to prison.
To turn himself in on January 9th of 2024 to serve a year-long sentence for.
You know, I sit here sometimes and I'm like, why am I covering this stuff? This is so horrible. It's like, this is what is wrong with people? You know, it's just sick.
The state ultimately got moved to February 7th of 2024, allowing.
So 13, so she was 11. So this goes back 2022. So he was grooming her since 2022. So she was right around 11 years old. It's just you can't make this stuff up, man. It's just horrible.
Him the opportunity and time to take care of his Naziah Harris problem.
Cover up a pregnancy, you hear about a pregnancy, and now you want to make sure that the pregnancy is gone and Naziah disappears.
Tiffany Jennings is Naziah's aunt. She has never spoken out before until now. Who's ultimately responsible for protecting Naziah from this guy?
Oh, what a loaded question, right, Sean? In my personal opinion, with no affiliation, there are multiple parties involved, as many have already stated. And I just have to hold on to hope that the entire truth will come to light. This is the beginning of the truth, and we're very grateful for this part, but the entire story will come out.
Quickly to say who Tiffany Jennings is there. She's Naziah's aunt. However, Naziah's dad, that's her sister. So she was not involved in the family goings-ons inside different houses about protecting this little girl. I want to explain who that is. Butts hit with 2 other charges, one for the sexual assault of a girl under the age of 13, and another, his own daughter, apparently 4 years old, who allegedly gave an STD. I told you, it just keeps getting worse. He is now being held without any bond. Chief White said it best yesterday that if convicted, if all this.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute now. Hold on a second.
Protecting this little girl. I want to explain who that is. Butts hit with 2 other charges, one for the sexual assault of a girl under the age of 13, and another, his own daughter, apparently 4 years old, who allegedly gave an STD. I told you, it just keeps getting worse. He is now
His own daughter?
being held without any bond. Chief White said it best yesterday that if convicted, if all this is true, that he cannot hurt anyone else. That's why Tamara Smith, Board of Commissioners, Police Chief Kim Worthy saying if anyone else feels that they have been assaulted or violated or part of this case, have the bravery to come forward right now. Back to you.
Just awful, awful.
Unbelievable. You just, like I said, you can't make this stuff up. A 4-year-old. Oh my God. It's wow. Let's hope he goes just, the worst possible punishment imaginable. Literally. Just, what are you going to do? It's, so I'll keep covering this case. Hopefully it's a speedy trial here and he gets taken off the streets. All right, so let's see. What are we going to do next? We're going to do, let's go to this one here. In a second here. This happened 2 days ago. Authorities have confirmed that human remains discovered over the weekend in Missouri. Those of Emily Strite, a mother who was first reported missing in April. I think a couple of people have covered this the last couple of days or so. Strite's mother joins News Nation's Banfield exclusively to discuss the latest details of the case. McLean suspects Strite's ex-partner, Stephen Foltz, was involved in hurting the daughter. So let's go to this here. Hold on, I'll share this. This is coming from, hold on a second, News Nation. So let's share this. Here we go. This, like I said, this was done. Let me rewind this here. Nope.
And she thinks she.
Okay. Thank you, Vid. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Do the best I can for ye of little brain here. Let's go. I'm having trouble with my toolbar here down at the bottom of the screen, so it's covering up all of the apparently StreamYard's having its issues tonight. So it's covering up all the stuff. So I gotta let's go here.
She knows who.
So this is coming out of DeSoto, Missouri here. Missouri seemed to be really in the news lately, the last year or so. A lot of cases coming out of Missouri.
Admitted them. She joins me now exclusively. Charlene, I am so sorry for your loss, and we thank you for coming on tonight so soon after learning this terrible news. So
thank you.
I'm just so sorry. So let's start with this. Can you tell us the latest on the investigation? We need to know where that is right
now. Currently now it's a death investigation. And to this point, I know that they are investigating how her body ended up where it was found.
I mean, this stuff just makes you angry. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a beautiful planet, right? You go and you know, especially right now, like you go, especially up here in New England, we get foliage coming in and stuff like this. Beautiful dry. I mean, I don't like the dry air, but you know, most people like the cooler air. And then you have animals like this just running around. It's so awful. Just ugh.
And then waiting on the autopsy to be completed to learn how she did die.
now? She was found less than a week ago. I mean, I can't believe, I'm, thankful that you're here because we want to get the story out. And that's the point, right? To get this out to as many viewers as possible who may know something. Yeah. So thank you for that. I just can't even imagine. But what was your mother heart telling you? As a mother myself, I know you must have been holding out hope until the very last moment. Or did you have a gut feeling that something awful had happened to her?
I had a gut feeling that something awful.
I mean, this poor person, right? Like, she just had to get involved in this complete ass face here that was abusive to her, and it's just
happened to her when I didn't hear from her on my birthday, early May, and then we didn't hear from her at all on her daughter.
This person right here, the victims' families, this person here is the reason why I am here in the first place. This has got to be excruciating to do. This poor woman right here.
Bella's birthday on May 7th, and then Mother's Day, I didn't hear from her. And I always would hear from her on Mother's Day. And then to just go silent, and then August came around and her youngest son's birthday. then her oldest son's birthday was in September. And I just knew as a mom that if she was around, no matter what was.
I mean, don't you want to just reach into the computer and just give this woman here just the biggest freaking hug? I mean, this is
happening to her, she would have found a way to contact me.
Right. Were you out there? There must have been search teams going on looking for her.
Yeah. We had, I feel like we had the best of the best. I was blessed to be put in contact with EcuSearch. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yes, actually the founder called me through a friend of mine that manages a restaurant that he goes into every day. And I just feel like, that was God's work. I didn't even know there were teams out there like that. They were here 2 or 3 times already and just exhausted themselves searching.
Right.
And
Well,
first
God bless
time
them.
Public volunteers, the second time it was just them.
Okay. Oh, I've got to ask you, you've said publicly that Emily and this man, Steve Foltz, had a long, tumultuous relationship. That's one thing. But did you ever think that he would hurt her? Did she say she thought that he would hurt her? Do you think that that's what happened?
and when you think about it, and this is the ongoing battle with this domestic stuff like this here. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's just the way the system works is, they want you to, they want you to get law enforcement involved if you're involved in a domestic abuse situation. But, sometimes that's the worst thing you can do because once you get law enforcement involved, then whoever's the perpetrator of doing this could actually become worse. They want you to file, file what they call a restraining order or, cease and desist order, whatever. It's such a horrible system. And I'm advocating definitely for things to change in this because it becomes even worse sometimes if you say something. It just sucks.
Information that I know, I believe that it's a great possibility. Yeah.
I've been told that you have confronted Steve. Tell me what you said. Tell me what that was like.
I mean, I'm not saying 100% that that's what happened in this case, but all the wonder is kind of in this little, she suspects that Streit's ex-partner, Stephen Foltz, was involved. So, but I mean, it's not written in stone. Everybody's, innocent, right, until guilty, but I wouldn't be surprised.
He tends to torment me also, especially in the last 6 months with text and telling me Emily's here or she's there and I need to go get her, and are constantly saying you're never going to find her. You're not going to find her in Illinois. You're going to find her in DeSoto. He had this ongoing things telling us that the person's house she was staying at is the person that killed her. And
wow.
In my gut, that's
right. Well, we've got to say he's innocent until proven guilty. No accusations, but have you taken these texts to the police? What have they said?
I think it's like, what's the average on that? Like if it's probably up in the high 70s, where if it's usually the spouse. I mean, there's some situations where it isn't, but if a mom goes missing and her remains are found, the husband or partner or ex-husband they're already a suspect, in my opinion. They're already being looked at because there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that I think it's like 7 times out of 10, it's usually something like that.
Yes, I've taken it to them.
Which is why I'm surprised they haven't. I mean, going back to the Susan Morphew case, right? Like, they found a body, right? They've found her body, and apparently from the reports from them finding the body, they found that she was induced by this horse sedative, right? So why they haven't arrested the husband again, I don't know. It's just such a weird thing.
They have followed up with
Makes you wonder, is it him? Was it him? I don't know. It's like weird.
phone calls, and I'm hoping interviews, and that they have investigated them. But
It's Miranda Lee. Hello, Miranda Lee. How are you? Good to see you. Me? Do I have a cold? No. The bunny has a cold. The bunny rabbit that we have has what they call snuffles. But I don't have time to get sick right now. I got way too many things to do. I'm literally, I almost got in the car last week and drove down to North Carolina. But I don't have enough time off to go down there. But I would have taken 2 weeks and gone out there and tried to at least help out.
I don't know. I haven't received any information regarding.
I mean, this woman looks so happy right here. You know, in these images here, looks like a birthday or something here. But you can tell that the pictures don't tell the whole story here.
The outcome from them.
And I also heard that women who have dated Steve Fultz have reached out to you. What are they telling you?
No, they have just reached out. Some of them won't even give their name, or they'll say something anonymously, but they don't want him to know that it's them. But
It could be because I'm inside. For the last 2 or 3 months, I've been outside. But it's just way too freaking cold out tonight to be outside. It's maybe 40 degrees outside tonight. I ain't sitting out there but thank you for asking. I don't think I'm sick. I'm sick mentally. I'm not sick, especially after watching some of this stuff. It's always good to see everybody in the chat. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate it. Miranda Lee's awesome.
they confirmed everything with them that my daughter had been through.
Thanks for watching. Go to JoinNN.
All right, so I'll keep an eye on that story too, but I don't think there's anything. All right, that's right there. So let's do this now. Let's get out of this here for a second. Stop sharing this. Let's go to. This is another one of these cases that just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It just never ends. And I've been following this case for a long. Hey, Mustang 1965, good to see you. Let's go here. Hold on a second. Yep. So we're going to go back to the Sandra Birchmore case here. This is, we've been covering this for a while. This is the another one of these grooming type things by this time here, law enforcement officers. If people don't know anything about this case here, we've done 3 or 4 different lives on this. But the brother of Sandra Birchmore, accused unaliver William Farrow, is now also accused of lying to detectives about the 23-year-old's unaliving. William's brother, former police officer Matthew Farrow, is charged with unaliving the pregnant woman after just completely abusing her, basically. So more stuff coming out in this case, and like I said, it just doesn't get any better in this case here. There's more to come for sure in this case here for sure.
Welcome back. In our spotlight this morning, we've got some shocking new information that an ex-cop had a sexual relationship with the woman that his twin brother.
Hello, Paula. Good to see you. Paula's here. Did I already say hi to Paula? I think so. Paula's got a great channel too. If you guys have channels like vid inquiries here, anybody that's got a channel, feel free to throw them in the chat. That way, if people aren't subscribed to, where'd Dean go? Is Dean here still? If you have channels, if you have people that you know, people who have channels, feel free to throw them in the chat. That's why everybody kind of has wrenches here. The more exposure, the better, for sure, especially with some of these cases that don't get covered a lot.
Brother is accused of murdering former Stoughton, Massachusetts police officer Matthew Farwell. He's already charged with the murder of 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore, who was believed to be pregnant with his child. Federal authorities allege that Farwell strangled and killed Birchmore and then staged her death to appear to be a suicide. Well, now Farwell's twin brother, William Farwell, who also was an officer with the Stoughton Police Department, has been decertified and can never, ever again work in law enforcement.
They literally need to, they literally need to just completely redo this whole Stoughton Police Department, in my opinion. And we're going to get to the Brian Walsh case too, because this is this trickle-down effect here that's having an effect on all of these cases and all of these suspects in this area here. It's absolutely crazy. This is what happens, though.
This after court documents reveal that he also had a sexual relationship with Birchmore. In fact, listen how disgusting this is. Allegedly having sex with her just days before her murder. Remember, she's pregnant with his brother's child.
This is going to be triggering,
as authorities believe. So just let that sink in for a second. Now, and the allegation is that he also knew that she was.
So basically what happened in this case is this young girl here, Sandra Birchmore, went to this academy here for police stuff. And it was basically a cover up for these, predators here to groom. And it's just such a horrible story here, this nightmare. These three guys here. And they're smiling.
Was pregnant with his brother's child. Now, at this time, William Farwell is not facing any criminal charges, but he and his brother and the former deputy chief, Robert Devine, have all been accused in a civil lawsuit by Sandra Birchmore's family of sexually grooming her.
And, you can kind of think, the whole Karen Reed thing, because they were onto these guys before that, but the Karen Reed thing kind of really brought this back to the forefront here with the Birchmore for sure.
Her when she was a minor child. She entered the Police Youth Explorers program when she was just 13 years old. Now, her family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit naming all three men and the Stoughton Police Department, I believe in her early 20s at this present time. But the allegation in the civil suit is that this grooming was going on when she was a minor child. How filthy, disgusting are these allegations? They're stomach turning. Let's bring in our guest now and talk some more about this and whether this could mean some charges for brother William there. He's been decertified. Is he going to join his brother Matthew at all? Let's bring in Chief Chris Anderson and attorney Franz Borghardt to get some insight on this. Chief, let me start with you first, please. Your thoughts.
Excuse me, this is troubling for my profession as a whole. Those programs, those young officers programs that we have, they have them nationwide, have been a pivotal role in recruiting and and getting people to learn more about the other side of law enforcement. So it's troubling as a whole to see this kind of actions done by people who frankly should not have been law enforcement officers. But as the case goes and we learn more information about it, it gets more troubling. And I'm very, very, very disappointed by the actions of these men in this case.
Thank you for that sentiment, Chief. I know that it is certainly much appreciated by everyone, who it was brought up, to trust law enforcement, to believe in law enforcement, support law enforcement. It's important to note that, a few bad apples don't spoil the bunch. And here we may be dealing with possibly some incredibly rotten apples here. Franz Borchardt, the family sure thinks so. The family is saying that these three groomed her when she was a young teen, 13 when she entered the program. I just looked it up, 23 at the time of her death. So your thoughts legally here. Do you think that decertified twin brother William should be nervous that he may wind up in the criminal court system like his brother Matthew?
I think he's absolutely going to end up in the court system, and I think the prosecution and law enforcement.
You all right, buddy? Is Dean all right? Dean's okay on Chromebook. Sorry, I'm doing a few things behind the scenes here, not keeping up with the chat. We were out in the 55-degree weather tonight. 55 would be nice right now. It's we might get a frost tonight. Yeah, these guys are just horrible people.
Enforcement of that community.
I mean, everybody's innocent, I guess, until proven guilty. That's the way the law works. But
need to be strongly pushing for it, because his actions, especially in the program that he was in, they have to make an example out of him. They cannot allow that kind of behavior. And look, protecting and serving doesn't mean servicing yourself. And it doesn't mean preying on the very young people that you're supposed to be helping and assisting. I absolutely think he's going to get arrested.
I mean, this Sandra Birchmore here, she was literally in love with this guy. Like, she whole story, if you look it up, it's kind of a really horrible but that's how they do that, the whole grooming thing. It's how they do this stuff. And then when they get to be an age where they don't want them anymore because they're getting a little older and they have their own families, they just kick them to the curb. It just sucks.
And prosecuted.
Franz, thank you so much for that. This is something we're all waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. Thank you for laying that out legally. Josh Levy is the U.S. attorney in the district that would encompass Stoughton. And I want to go back to when he held a press conference fairly recently when Matthew Farwell, the brother who's accused of grooming her when she was underage and impregnating her at the age of 23 years old, when he was charged with her murder. Initially, when it was ruled a suicide.
Is Jenny okay? Jenny 56798. What do you say? 56209. She okay? Or I haven't seen her for a while either. How come you're not promoting your it's Big Fish Small Pond? Hey, Big Fish, how are you? Good to see you. I hope Southern Gal's good too. I don't know if she had a live tonight. Did she have a live? How come you're not promoting your OnlyFans channel tonight, buddy? All right, let's go back to this here.
Initially, and there was just talk about it in the community. Let's listen to a little bit of what the U.S. attorney told the public.
I'm not going to comment on information that's not in the public record. As you heard, this is an ongoing matter, so we're going to continue to look into this matter. And if there's other individuals that we develop evidence they've violated the federal law, we'll proceed. At the time of her death, Sandra Birchmore.
Unfortunately, this case is not going to be a slam dunk case. It's going to be an uphill battle for the feds to prosecute here. But I think that they definitely have the right person, that's for sure, and the right people, but it's going to be tough.
Moore was a 23-year-old woman with her entire life ahead of her, and she was pregnant with her first child. We allege that Sandra Birchmore survived years of grooming, statutory rape, and then sexual violence, all at the hands of Matthew Farwell, who was.
I love it. I love doing that. I love, really good channels. Like I don't know if you guys know who Coach Kev is. Coach Kev is a great guy. He's very intelligent, very smart, just a great overall person. But I was one of his first, subscribers back when he started, and it was so good to see him get over 1,000. Just awesome to watch these channels. Southern Gal's another one. She's great. Always, some of these channels, they deserve all the credit in the world. They're great people.
Employed throughout their relationship as an officer and then detective for the Stoughton Police Department.
Now, we know that initially her death was said to be a suicide, but that didn't sit right with her friends and family because they were saying she was so excited to have her baby. She was 3 months pregnant at the time. They were saying she couldn't wait to be a mom. Nothing pointed to any indications that this young woman would want to take her own life. And then it was when the family brought in an outside expert, Dr. Michael.
In reality, if it wasn't for the Karen Reed case, you probably wouldn't have heard anything about this ever again. I can't be 100% sure of that, but they definitely got some more exposure when that happened. And then that seems to be the way to go now. If you're not going to get any help from law enforcement, you go after a civil case because it's easier to prove a civil case than it is to prove a criminal case. But if you bring this to a civil court and win in a civil court, it makes everybody kind of put a little bit more pressure on law enforcement to do something. And that's, I think, what's happened in this case.
Bodden to review the autopsy. And Dr. Bodden said that she was strangled to death, that this was not a hanging as had been.
But see, he initially ruled it as a voluntary unaliving. I think that's how you say it on YouTube. But so that may be a problem in court.
Stated to be the cause of death by the initial investigators. He said she had a fractured hyoid bone in the neck that's not going to fracture with a hanging. I remember the late, great Dr. Cyril Wecht, God rest his soul. I remember him teaching me that years ago, and he said, always look, when you see that in an autopsy report, the hyoid bone, very indicative of manual strangulation. Chief Chris Anderson, your thoughts on this, how key that fracture, that teeny tiny bone could be in her neck in getting this murder conviction?
Yeah, so the hyoid bone being broken is very, very.
You guys are so awesome promoting all these other channels. Yep, sub up to all these channels. Once I get out of here, I'll sub up to everybody that puts the channels in here. It's awesome. Awesome.
Very instrumental in any type of strangulation case. That's one of the positions that a person has to be strangled in order for a strangulation to occur. So it usually doesn't occur when a person hangs themselves. The rope is usually a lot higher than where the hyoid bone is. But when you see rope burns and marks up in the higher position, but yet see that hyoid bone broke, it's usually a reason for a person to be very, very concerned into whether or not this case is a strangulation or suicide. Very, very good insight.
Thank you so much, Chief. And something else I think is kind of interesting to note, we can end on this point, that at the time, the medical examiner who found that she died by suicide didn't send the fetal tissue for any DNA analysis. And Dr. Michael Bodden, who, is outstanding. We know he may be arguably the country's leading expert in forensic pathology at this point in time. He said that they never sent the fetal tissue away to determine who the father was of the baby. Why wouldn't that be done, right? This single woman, why wouldn't anybody want to know that? Franz, final thoughts, please.
I think this is going to be a case that comes down to dueling experts. I think, while I agree that it is highly unlikely that the hyoid bone would break based on hanging, they're going to find some expert out there that will.
I agree, and I've seen so many cases that get overturned because of that, where it's like usually the first cause of death is like written in freaking stone. Like you can't overturn that. Even if I've seen cases where the original examiner rules it as a voluntary unaliving, and then down the road gets more information and it changes his mind. I don't know, it's going to be tough. I'm not saying that they can't get a conviction here, but it's going to be tough with that for sure.
Duel against the state's expert and say, well, you can't exclude that, right?
Right.
It just smells very suspicious, though, right? With the DNA evidence tying this law enforcement officer to the actual victim, it gives a motive, and then it's not a very long distance to homicide.
Right. Great points.
Let's hope for the best. That's all you can do, right? Because this guy's definitely guilty. There's no doubt about it. But I'm telling you, those initial coroner's evaluations are like stoned, especially if it's a good one. If it's somebody that's got a lot of prestige and. Anyways, okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. So this case here, the Karen Reed case, the trickle-down effect from this is going to be huge, especially in the state of Massachusetts. So let's go to this Brian Walsh case. I don't know if people are aware of this case here, but this is another one of those cases that the Proctor, all of this stuff is having an effect on a lot of these cases, and these attorneys want records on the Sandra Birchmore case and the Karen Reed case, because all of these officers are in the same exact precincts. And this is what happens when you have this kind of conspiracy stuff, because I know that this guy here is accused of unaliving his wife here, but now they want to see these records here to see if there was any foul stuff going on in here. So let's play this here. This happened last year, I think. He literally did everything to his wife, and they still haven't found her body. But he's being accused of her unaliving here.
Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
Oh, my. Former trooper Michael Proctor could possibly be tipping the scales in the murder case of Brian Walsh now. The accused killer appeared with his attorneys in Norfolk Superior Court on Wednesday on their motion seeking access to various records relating to the disgraced trooper's investigation. Now, Walsh's defense team is looking for Michael Proctor's cell phone records, his job performance records, and any records from cases that he might have investigated, specifically the death investigations of Officer John O'Keefe and Sandra Birchmore, two cases we've obviously been talking a lot about here. Now, here's a quick look at Brian Walsh's appearance. It was before a judge you're going to recognize, the Honorable Beverly Cannoni.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walsh. Good afternoon. I think based on the representations of the Commonwealth, both in its communications yesterday and then today, there's a lot of discovery forthcoming, some of which addresses some of our requests, some of which probably don't. So I think it's a waste of our time to argue this extensive motion and memorandum of law. And I was going to explain why we filed such a detailed memorandum of law, but I don't think I need to waste the court's time with that. So I think what we're suggesting is, at least what we're suggesting, is that we come back on December 2nd.
All right, so Brian Walsh is accused of murdering his beautiful wife, Anna.
So this happened, like I said, I don't know if people remember this. This was, I think, almost a year and a half ago now. But this woman here is just such a beautiful person. And she went missing. And this guy here, her husband, is accused of unaliving her. And he just, left a complete trail of his path of craziness. But they never found her. They haven't found her yet.
Anna Walsh back in January of 2023, and investigators believe that he hid her remains as well, as her remains have never been discovered. Now, he's being held without any bail. Still no trial date set for him, even though it's been a while. We understand that Judge Cannone agreed to wait until December to hear that motion for this discovery that his defense team is requesting. So let's talk a little bit about Trooper Proctor and how his involvement in this case could potentially tip the scales of justice. I have a great guest standing by to help me do that. He's not only an attorney, he's also a law professor, Tad Thomas, on the program with us. Oh, Tad, this is really something. This is a heinous case, as you know. It is believed that Brian Walsh murdered Anna Walsh and perhaps dismembered her body.
See, this whole department now, all of these people, are going to look sketchy because there's a foul smell coming out of this police department. And, until they can rectify the situation here, it's only going to get worse.
According to some investigators' theories here.
Because everybody on the planet knows that this guy did this. I mean, this is not a mystery. It's not rocket science.
And they believe that her remains may have been placed around town, who knows, but never been discovered. And he's maintaining his innocence, and now it seems that he's looking for an advantage because Proctor worked his case. How do you see this going with them trying to get any information they can from Proctor in order to somehow use it to the defense advantage?
It's not an unprecedented request, but it is very unusual for the defense to ask for this extensive information. Obviously, anytime you have a police officer or detective who has negative information against them and that pertains to their honesty, that has to be disclosed in every case. So now that you have this out there, it could be that the judge allows more information. I don't think the judge is going to allow this extensive information, but the defense was smart to not argue the motion right away because they looked very reasonable by telling the judge, hey, let's wait. We understand there's new discovery coming in. Let's wait, give us a chance to get through this additional discovery, see how many of these questions are answered.
This guy just looks like such an ass face. I mean, geez, crow.
That we have. And then we'll come back in December. And if we think we need to argue more and get more, we'll ask for it then.
Excellent points from you, Ted, as per usual. So at the end of the day, in the Karen Read case, when it comes to Proctor, I mean, he ended up getting a very bad reputation for this. It was unprofessional. It was uncalled for. It was shameful, really, and it also exacerbates any distrust that is out there for police, that he was talking about Karen Read in such a disparaging way to family members. They shouldn't have been hearing this stuff, or friends, or, everything professional should stay professional. But when you really cut all through it, the Read team was alleging that he tampered evidence, and there was no evidence that he did. No evidence whatsoever put into a court of law through that trial that he tampered with anything. So it was kind of like he got the what do I want to say? The unlikable, or just the bad reputation, for, I guess just kind of being a
He did too, and they had him going to every single, you know, trash bin along the way. Like this guy is so guilty, it's not even funny. But without a body, I don't know. I mean, I 100% he's guilty myself personally. But
jerk or name calling, all that, just because of what he said in the personal text, not because he tampered or placed anything anywhere. I'd like your thoughts on that, please, Ted, when it comes to what can happen with Brian Walsh, because it seems like, are they looking for the same kind of thing here?
Yeah, I think what they're looking for here is, a detective has to be neutral. They have to follow the evidence. And if they are found to be biased and have predetermined, predestined, preordained the outcome of an investigation, that is what can be attacked here. And so that appears to be what the defense is looking for in the Walsh case is, hey, were there other potential suspects that were never investigated so that they can draw reasonable doubt by pointing the finger at someone else without any evidence maybe, but just enough to say that the detectives didn't go out and get it. It's not the defense's responsibility to go out and investigate those other potential suspects. It's the detective. And so if they can say that the detective had preordained this investigation, then it could lead to reasonable doubt in at least one juror's mind, and that's all they need.
Right. Yeah, great points. And I guess one big difference here, too, Officer John O'Keefe was a victim known to Michael Proctor. It was very clear he felt something kind of personal, being that this was another police officer victim. So another difference in these cases that are now being so closely compared. Big thank you to you, attorney and law professor Ted Thomas. We'll look forward to having you back very soon.
it's just really sad. It's like, that they'll use anything. Defense lawyers will use anything they can do to get out of something, to get their, even if the guy's guilty. It's just so sad. It's but this whole police department over there, all of these people, well, not all of these people, but most of these people are, especially the ones that are, doing a lot of this illegal stuff. All right, so we're gonna go now to hold on a second. Let me the missing person case of the week. I think this is the case of Brittany Ambrose T. So let me let me kind of read this here a little bit here. So this is coming from Missing Persons Center here. These guys work with law enforcement and families of the missing here. So this is the write-up on her. She was last seen January 10th last year, 2023. So at this point, almost 2 years. Classification unknown missing. So she's not been classified as unalived, and it's still an active case here. She's female, 37 years old, American, Caucasian, brown hair, blue eyes, 5'6", 120 pounds. Okay, so Brittany T., a vibrant 35-year-old resident of Brookfield, Massachusetts again, vanished without a trace in January of 2023, departing her boyfriend's home under the guise of visiting her mother. So her mother didn't want her to go over there. Brittany's disappearance has left her family and law enforcement grasping for answers. And despite extensive efforts and a year-long investigation, her whereabouts remain unknown. All right, so let's go. Hold on a second. We'll read more of this later. Let's go to this here. Whoops. Oh, right here. Okay. Okay, so this is the thing we've been watching the last couple of lives here about the missing. This is the missing on News Nation, and this is the case of Brittany T., Ambrose T., and 35-year-old. So this was done 5 months ago. 35 years old, 5'6", 120 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes, missing since January 10th, 2023.
And the search for Brittany T. Brittany is 35 years old, 5'6", 120 pounds. She has brown hair and blue eyes. And on the night of January 10th, 2023, Brittany walked out of the door of a home where she was sharing with her boyfriend, and Brittany simply vanished. Her family wonders if her vibrant, caring personality made her a target. The only thing they know for sure is Brittany would not leave her life behind. Now police are asking for the public's help to connect the dots.
She's stuck in the tent. Uh-oh.
The fun aunt, Brittany T, playing with her niece and nephew.
Wow, Tegan.
Anything the kids did, she'd do.
Yeah.
You know, and vice versa, you know.
She's the one that's getting down on the ground on her hands and knees and,
Yeah.
you know, just being fun. Don't worry, everyone.
The kids now struggling to understand what happened to their favorite playmate.
They thought initially she was on vacation and forgot to tell us where she was. But as it goes,
Look at these poor people. They're just, this is a living nightmare for these two people. Just,
was on, they realized she's really missing.
Investigators say the 35-year-old left the house where she lived with her boyfriend in Brookfield around 8:30 on the night of January 10th, 2023, and simply vanished.
Check your video, check your garages, check your sheds, anything that is a spot where a person may look to get out of the elements.
Investigators released these surveillance photos from days before the disappearance, showing the black jacket and hoodie Brittany was believed to be wearing. But more than a year later,
We know she left the house. Where she went after that, that's still a mystery. We don't.
so this is in Worcester County. So let's go, give me a second here. Let's go back to, let's see here. Look, I think there's a map in here. Yes, right here. Okay, so here's Brookfield here, East Brookfield, West Brookfield. This is Massachusetts here. So there's Braintree right there. So this is Western Mass, kind of Worcester right there, Auburn, Sturbridge Village here. I'll probably try to get a better map than this in a second here, but that's the town there. So she was known for her vivacity, personality, particularly as she is the adored fun aunt. She left her boyfriend's home the night of January 10th, 2023. So she left the night in the middle of winter, purportedly heading towards her mother's house, but she never arrived at her mom's house. Surveillance photos captured Brittany wearing a black jacket and hoodie. That's typical for that time of the year, believed to be her attire the night of, despite multiple efforts, including the use of helicopters, drones, and canine units, no trace of Brittany. All right, so let's go back to, I'll try to get a better map than that. Let's go to, where the hell am I? Right here, okay. Here. Right there. Very good.
Don't have the answers.
Susan T says she spoke to her daughter on the phone just half an hour before her disappearance.
We had a brief conversation and she started to cry. And I asked what was wrong. And she said, "Oh, nothing, Mom. We'll talk about it later."
When she couldn't reach Brittany for 2 days, she got worried and texted the boyfriend.
And he called me back very shortly after, saying, "What do you mean? How is Brittany doing? Isn't she with you?"
They immediately went to the house and discovered her Jeep with her purse and keys still inside. Her boyfriend said he thought Brittany had gone to her mom's.
He knew she was speaking to me, and he thought that she was asking me to come pick her up.
Investigators say the boyfriend has cooperated fully.
We're getting pretty consistent stories from different people. And as far as the boyfriend goes, he's been very cooperative from the beginning.
Brittany's family admits she struggled with alcohol dependency, but was working hard to get better.
What is she like thinking of?
I know. Are you on a motorcycle or something?
These photos taken just 2 weeks earlier at Christmas.
You know, her skin was better. She had a lot more energy. She was, she was being silly with the kids. I felt like I had my sister back.
We can't imagine what could have gone wrong in 2 weeks, and she's gone.
The DA would not confirm whether Brittany's phone had pinged after her disappearance, but says multiple searches have left no stone unturned.
They've been relentless with the investigators have been relentless with the searches. Helicopters, drones, K9 units, civilian search teams.
Brittany's family is confident she would not have walked down that unlit road alone in the freezing cold.
She had just spoken with my mom a half hour prior, and she was clear as a bell. She was not intoxicated or altered in any way.
They say Brittany worked at the local liquor store where she became friends with the customers.
She's kind and loving and funny, and people are drawn to her personality. And we're just afraid maybe the wrong person was drawn to her personality and she was too trusting. Did the wrong person come by and she got in the wrong vehicle? Oh, another card. I know, I don't have your card.
What was she doing out walking? That's weird. Hold on a second. So let's go to I want to go back to the map here. So here's a better map. So here's Boston. So this is Connecticut here. Here's Rhode Island, the border. Rhode Island here, Connecticut. So this is basically, I don't know, a stone's throw away from Connecticut here. Here's 84. This is a major route here. This is like if you're in New England and you're trying to get to, New York, this is the way you go here. 84. Down here, this is Brookfield. Let's go back here. That's it. No pictures, no nothing. I'll try to find that store that she was, that liquor store that she was working at. They don't call them liquor stores in Massachusetts. They call them Packies. All right, so let's go back to Ruckus will tell you that. Let's see here. So let's go to this here.
Oh, well, that's good. Best day ever.
Her family just hoping someone with information will come forward.
We're hoping that they will find it in their hearts to come forward and let us know.
Why would she be out walking? Why would she walk? Is that what they said? Walking home? Why would she be walking? She left her boyfriend's home on the night, reported heading towards her, so she was walking. So her boyfriend, initially under scrutiny, has cooperated fully with authorities with no evidence suggesting his involvement. Why did she walk? That's so weird. District Attorney has emphasized the importance of public cooperation, urging anyone with information to come forward, no matter how insignificant it may seem. All right, so let's go back to this here. Hold on a second.
Where she is.
just hear the pain in that mother's voice, thinking about this entire family right now as they search for answers around this mystery. Brittany is a sister, a daughter, an aunt. You could see how much fun she had with her family. They want her back desperately. Joining us now is Law Olmstead. He's the president of the Missing Persons Center to talk more about this case. Law, welcome back, and thank you for looking.
Welcome back, Jocelyn. Good to see you again. I hope everybody's doing well in the chat. Hope everybody's having fun. Where am I? Right here. Okay.
Looking into this investigation with us, what stands out to you first about the evidence that police have put forth so far, a year plus after Brittany's disappearance?
Well, one of the biggest things that, for me, looking at it from an investigative standpoint, is the fact that I understand her purse and her car keys were found in her vehicle. That seems kind of odd to me, because if her vehicle was running well enough to get to her mom's house, which was about 15 minutes away, why didn't she take her car? Why did she leave the vehicle?
What?
For looking into this investigation with us, what stands out to you first about the evidence that police have put forth so far, a year plus after Brittany's disappearance?
Well, one of the biggest things that, for me, looking at it from an investigative standpoint, is the fact that I understand her purse and her car keys were found in her vehicle. That seems kind of odd to me, because if her vehicle was running well enough to get to her mom's house, which was about 15 minutes away, why didn't she take her car?
That's so freaking bizarre. That is so freaking bizarre. That is almost identical to Mara Murray. The only difference is Mara Murray was way away from her mom's house, but that's weird. Why would somebody do that? That doesn't make any sense. She was about 50 minutes away. Why didn't she take her car? Well, why would she leave her purse and her keys in the car? Obviously, something happened to the car.
Why did she leave the vehicle there? Was there something wrong with the vehicle? Was it out of gas? That is really a big question for me. And then we don't really know the direction that she left the house, is what I'm understanding. So we really don't know where she could have been heading. I'm also hearing a lot about that she was very trusting. She was having some sort of emotional situation prior to leaving. I'd really like to know a little bit more about what that situation, the house, is what I'm understanding. So we really don't know where she could have been heading. I'm also hearing a lot about that she was very trusting. She was having some sort of emotional situation.
Emotional situation? What is an emotional situation? What does that mean? How does anybody know she was having an emotional situation?
Prior to leaving, I'd really like to know a little bit more about what.
How do they know that? Is that what the person that saw her last said? Maybe she was. How do they know she was having an emotional situation? That must have come from the boyfriend.
What that situation was, and I would imagine that situation had something to do with the boyfriend, but we haven't
exactly what I just said.
Heard a whole lot about that. So those two elements right there are very concerning to me, and I wish we had some more information being shared on those topics.
Yeah, all we know, the family has been in touch with the boyfriend. They don't suspect him. They think that he has nothing to do with it. Police seem to be on that same page, but these investigations are fluid, right? And we learn more as time goes on. How challenging.
Yeah, but an emotional situation coming from the boyfriend is really weird, right? Like, no answer from Jenny? Or maybe she's taking a break. Maybe she's on vacation. Let's hope she's okay. Yeah, we missed Jenny. 8675309. Because that's one person's, like, that's one person's, the last person that saw her said she was having some sort of an emotional, talking about Brittany T here, some emotional situation, but that's coming from him. So that's like, I don't know why somebody would say that. And then just leave her keys in her purse in her car and not take the car. That's a little suspicious to me, man.
Challenging is it for law enforcement? They've done ground searches, they've done air searches, as more than a year has passed by, for them to continue to get leads in a case like this.
Well, it's gonna, you know, the longer any case goes on, it's definitely more challenging to get new leads. I think one thing that will help, you know, from from an investigative standpoint, is if Brittany was, you know, struggling with some alcohol issues, if she was going to any kind of groups, or
She was struggling with alcohol situations or problems, but yet she worked at a Packy. Okay.
getting any kind of counseling, I would say start looking around those circles as well. And what you typically find when there's like somebody who has an obsession with someone, after the fact that they go missing, oftentimes that person will start behaving differently. So if there's somebody within her circle of influence, within her friends or peer group, that is acting differently, maybe not coming around as much, maybe coming around more, maybe asking a lot more questions, maybe acting a little bit more emotional about the situation than they normally would. Those are things to start looking at. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of tips rolling in on this case if they haven't already after a year. The case to me is very, very cold, and there needs to be some new things really dug up very quickly. And you know, another thing to think about too is sometimes when we're looking all over the place for a missing person, trying to find out where they went, sometimes they're very close and underneath our nose, maybe even on the property somewhere. Maybe they never even left. So it'd be interesting to find out if Brittany ever had any ideations of self-harm or anything like that. I know these are very, very tough questions to ask and address, but they really help in trying to figure out where to go from here, because there's really been no new information.
Yeah, I think to that point, a lot of families are desperate for any clues, any evidence and answers. So you have to go down some dark roads, even if they are unlikely, just to rule that out. You know, in a case like this, what about that theory that she worked at the liquor store, she was overcoming some struggles herself with alcohol, surveillance video?
I mean, Karen Lee's here. Where's Karen Lee? Hey, Karen Lee, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, she's down there. She's far from me. She's over there in outside of Worcester. But don't you think that's kind of like almost like an area of that's just weird why the boyfriend would say that. Well, the person she was seeing that night said that. To me, that's almost an admission of guilt. Is, you know, him saying that she was having some sort of an emotional situation, and then she left, but she left her car, her purse, and her keys, and then walked to her mom's house. 15. That doesn't make any sense.
From around that store at the time. Investigatively, would you start with some of the clientele at that store?
Yeah, I would. I would start talking to people who were other employees or coworkers, to find out, you know, patterns. A lot of people go to their local liquor store in patterns. They have these routines of things they do, and conversations they.
Yeah, I was really worried about Karen Lee with all this shit going on in North Carolina there, but I saw that Karen Lee was here this morning when I did my yesterday morning, actually, when I did my tropics update. So obviously she's okay. Karen Lee's an awesome person, literally.
have. You get to know people intimately, especially in these more rural communities. So I would certainly be looking for patterns.
I mean, people do disappear. People do. I mean, some people just get so sick with their life. They have issues. This case is very similar to Mara Murray here. But people do, take off. But to leave keys, a car, like it just doesn't make any sense to me why she would do that. But anything's possible.
Patterns of behavior before she left of patrons and employees and afterwards. I mean, if there was somebody who was coming in all the time and you could see they were speaking to her on a regular basis, and then all of a sudden, now that she's missing, that person's not showing up anymore, I'd say it's really important to find out who that person is. So yeah, for sure, there's a lot. If someone takes the time to start checking on patterns of people's behavior 2-3 even weeks or even a month before she left, and then the next couple of weeks after she was last seen, I think could possibly tell a story.
What is your message, Law, as you cover lots of missing person cases, to the family in this situation and their desperation more than a year after Brittany went missing, where they continue their search? They've been looking on the ground. I mentioned there were canine searches. They looked from helicopters from above. But after this much time has passed, what do families do?
Well, one thing they have to do is start working on a reward fund. I don't know if one has been, developed yet or being cultivated, but start working on a reward fund. Be as much of an advocate for her as possible. Do not let her story be lost in the ocean of so many other missing people. The ones that have the most success in being recovered, reunited, found are the ones with the most advocacy. People talking about the story all the time. And this starts with the family. The families need to stay on law enforcement. They need to stay on the district attorney. They need to stay on the local media and do shows like this as well and share information about her, so people can start forming a personal connection to her, because this.
I appreciate it, Dave. It came very close, enough to just be on the very edge of it. I was looking at the trees swaying in the wind. Yeah, you're lucky you weren't in any of that flooding. It's I don't know, like I said this morning, if anybody's ever been out to the Smoky Mountains or western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful country out there. It's just devastating to see. We usually stay there. Like when we go down to Florida, we try to take the long way because we go for a long vacation. So we try to stay, sometimes we'll take a ride through the mountains down there and stay at the one of the resorts out there. But you're not going to find anything better than scenery like that. It's great.
She sounds like a really great young lady who has a really big heart and very friendly. And I think people will identify with her quite a bit. And the story is very interesting. Everybody likes a compelling story, and I know there's a lot of people following this. So they need to be hopeful. Don't give up. Don't act like this is the end of it. You're never going to know. You can know, but you have to keep advocating all the time.
Yeah. Does it become a resource?
Okay, this is good. Very, very good. So remember that. Lewis Field. All right, hold on a second.
Resource issue for police after this much time has passed, and in some other cases even more time has passed. How do they continue to investigate with no clues coming forward?
Well, unfortunately, most of the time they just sit around and wait for tips. I don't want to take anything away from what the local police have done. I follow this, to a smaller extent. And I do believe the police have done all they can based on their experience and their resources. They seem to have pulled out all the stops. They're doing a good job. They're keeping the community in.
So she went missing January 10th, 2023, I think. Yep, January 10th, 2023. So the middle of winter, literally the middle of winter. Amara Murray went missing in February up here in New Hampshire, but this was down in Western Massachusetts. And I found, hold on a second, let me stop this for a second here. Here we go with the maps. So here's Lewis Field. There's Main, shut up, cat. Main Street here. So this is where, I think this is where she was last seen. Departing from her boyfriend's home under the guise of visiting. So her mother didn't want her to go to the boyfriend's house. I think that's what that means. I wonder why. That's weird. Okay, so let's go back to the video here. I just wanted to get an idea of where that was. That's literally probably 2 or 3 hours away from me.
Informed. It sounds like they're open to speaking with the family.
We used to go to concerts in Worcester all the time at the they call the BC Entrum or the Worcester Centrum down there in Massachusetts.
But it's just really tough. It's very.
I think I saw Rush.
Very tough. They're going to have to wait for tips to come in, and if that's the case, this can take a long time. I really believe that they might want to even open up the door to other agencies coming in, maybe a state agency to look at the case, or some other professionals who are very familiar with missing person cases to take another look at this, because sometimes there's a piece of information just sitting there that maybe based on skill level or experience, someone has missed. So it'd be great if somebody could take another look at everything and see if there was something that was obvious that hadn't been followed.
What I do know about that part of the country is every time we go there, there's no internet anyways. I mean, you can't, like, I remember we stayed in Asheville a couple of times and there's no internet. There's no, even at the best resort, if you get internet at all, you get very little internet. So they need to do a better job in some of these areas of internet, because that's what you need when you get these types of storms like this. You're not going to have power, but hopefully you can at least use your phone, right? And that's where the internet or Wi-Fi comes in. But we've been out there, even around here, even up here in New Hampshire in the mountains, there's no internet. You're not going to have internet any day. Doesn't matter. So I think they need to get better at that. Let's go here.
Followed up on. We talk about her phone as well. There's been no information about if the phone pinged or what kind of communication she was having with anyone leading up to her disappearance. Whether
it's so weird, and I wonder what kind of a car she had. Because some cars have navigation assistance or whatever. So,
be weeks before.
Does that sound? Why would she take her car? Why would somebody not take their car? Internet gets a bad rap, but in situations like we lose power here all the freaking time. You guarantee it every time there's a storm here in the wintertime, we'll lose power 4 or 5 different times a year. And we've learned that, if you have a full tank of gas in your car, you can always charge your cell phone. You can at least get communications. And when you don't have power and you're out in the sticks like that, it's always good to have some sort of communication, even a battery powered radio. People don't, that's like one of those obsolete things these days is a battery powered radio. But, if you need to get information or any type of, idea of what's going on around you, it's good to have something. All right, so here we go.
Or even minutes before she left the house. We haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, and that leads me to some viewer questions that we have in regards to the evidence and the phone. Law, I want to have you answer some of these as broadly as you can. I know that you've been looking into the case, but this question comes from Barbara, and she wants to know, how can they know how she left the house? Her SIM card was found at the boyfriend's house. If she was talking to her mom and he thought she was calling her to pick her up, the SIM card would have been in the phone at the time. How do they investigatively explore the digital evidence in a case like this?
Well,
yeah, Rush was so good. He used to tour with Rory Gallagher all the time. Rory Gallagher was one of my big fan of Rory Gallagher. He's dead. He died not too long ago. But yeah, it was a great concert. I just don't remember much of it because I was, I would say probably 75 to 85% of the concerts that I've gone to, I've been pretty plowed. So I don't remember much. How can say they know she left the house? Her SIM card was found. This is backwards. How can they say she left the house? Her SIM card was found at the boyfriend's house. If she was talking to her mom and he thought she was calling her to pick her up. Huh?
The phone has, tracking on it through the phone carrier. So they can just serve a warrant to the phone carrier to get all the GPS and everything on the phone.
That's the most bizarre sentence ever. How can say they know she left the house?
On it through the phone carrier. So they can just serve a warrant to the phone carrier to get all the GPS and everything on the phone. It just seems like nobody's really looking into the phone as much as they should, realistically. I mean, there's been no pings or anything like that, or any data recovered from the phone. I can't imagine why it hasn't been shared with anybody at this point.
The phone is incredibly critical. I've got another question from Tony on the district attorney saying that we know that she left the house. How does he know that? Is that on a camera or is
District Attorney Joseph Early said, we know she left the house. How does she know? How does the district attorney know that?
it because that was what the boyfriend said? They go based off of the evidence, right? They are not theorizing in a case like this.
Well, yeah, they do go based on the evidence. And I would say the same thing that maybe many of the people in the audience would say is we don't know she left the house. I'm not quite sure she did leave the house.
I'm kind of, I think that's almost an admission of guilt. If somebody disappears late at night like that, and the last person that saw her says she was having an emotional situation, I take that like almost like an admission of guilt. Like, so you were basically admitting that she was hard to handle, right? So that's why she left. Is that what you're saying? that's a little weird. And she just leaves her car there with her purse and her keys in it and just walks. Was she that blitzed? I mean, that would only happen if you're like really, I don't know, it's just weird.
I'm not quite sure that her purse and keys weren't staged in her vehicle to make it look like she was attempting to leave the house. We have no proof of that whatsoever. That's why I said earlier, they need to start looking closer to her home, to the property. She could be there somewhere on the property for all we know. But there's no fact of the matter that I've heard to prove she left the house. When they've talked about video cameras, from local residents or businesses, if she was on foot that may have seen her, they may or may not have seen her, but it doesn't sound like any.
Is that her car right there? So that's the car. That's the Jeep. What is that? That's a. Do they have the year on that? That's a pretty newer model, I would think. That's got to have some sort of a tracking device in it. What year is that? Do you think that's like a 2017? You think?
Video cameras, from local residents or businesses, if she was on foot that may have seen her, they may or may not have seen her, but it doesn't sound like any have seen her. So did she really ever leave the property? We may never know.
Yep. And the big clue to that, and you brought this up earlier, this is a question from Lisa asking, why is it that we're just hearing that her wallet and her purse were in her Jeep? I understand that her car had not been working for a while. Could it have been planted there? Is that an investigative alley that they would go down?
Well, it's hard for me to say what they would go down. I would hope so. It seems like such an obvious thing. That talked about video.
That's an older model than that, because they changed this grill, because this is, I'm assuming this is a Wrangler, not a Wrangler, Cherokee, I mean. And then they had the Compass. So this is probably a 2014.
Cameras, from local residents or businesses, if she was on foot that may have seen her, they may or may not have seen her, but it doesn't sound like any have seen her. So did she really ever leave the property? We may never know.
Yep. And the big clue to that, and you brought this up earlier, this is a question from Lisa asking, why is it that we're just hearing that her wallet and her purse were in her Jeep? I understand that her car had not been working for a while. Could it have been planted there? Is that an investigative alley that they would go down?
Well, it's hard for me to say what they would go down. I would hope so. It seems like such an obvious thing. It sounds like, to me, there's a lot of what's being shared with the public is that the local police and the district attorney are taking whatever they're hearing from witnesses or people that have seen her last at face value and in good faith, and then saying, well, we got a lot of consistencies within the stories, but we don't know of any people that they've spoken to outside of the boyfriend. We don't know who was at the residence during the time frame leading up to Brittany leaving, who lives there, what their criminal background is, what kind of interactions with police have been at that location before. We don't know anything, and this is what's concerning. When you're a member of your community and you start thinking that a woman who was so friendly, worked at your local liquor store, was building relationships and friendships with people. And
I mean, that's really the only way I could see anything else besides that happening, because maybe she was walking to leave, the boyfriend's house, and she went to go get in the car, and somebody, something happened while she was trying to get into her car. But that's the only way I could see that happening. So obviously something happened by the time she left to the time she got to her car, if she had left at all, technically. So I don't know what year that is. That's it's not a Grand. Is that a Grand Cherokee, you think? Yeah, there could be a Grand Cherokee. So I'm just saying that there's probably some sort of a tracking device in here or OnStar system, maybe. So
Seemed really, really just liked and just like a really great.
so the Jeep was found with the purse and the keys inside. So could be staging there.
Spirit, what happened? Because I'd be a little concerned that there could be somebody on the loose in the local neighborhood there who may have something to do with this.
Yeah, beyond the mystery of her disappearance, you do have that larger question. Is the public at risk right now? What is the threat to the public? Maybe time to re-interview some people that were spoken to early on in this case. Law, thank you for digging into it with us. We'll stay in touch as we continue to pursue leads. And in this case, it may take somebody coming forward who knows something, and we'll see if a reward will help on that effort. Law Olmstead, thank you.
I wish I knew the address to where that guy lived, because I would try to figure out what kind of a, place that was. Single unit, apartment house. I don't know. It's that whole thing is this is really weird.
Thank you for your time as always. Now, through Brittany's family, we did reach out to the boyfriend, but he declined to be
So there's a tip line there. If you have any information, 508-453-7589.
interviewed, since there is no evidence pointing to his involvement in.
That's her name. Her actual name is Brittany Ambrose T. Tip line 508-453-7589.
Her disappearance. The family is respecting his privacy and not revealing his identity to the media.
I mean, how long has it been? Almost 2 years now. So, I mean, they've I don't know if they've ruled him out. Do you think they've ruled him out? Did they say that? I don't think they've ruled him out. He's been cooperating. So.
The district attorney stressing to us, anyone with information should call a tip line that's been set up in Brittany's disappearance. That's 508-453-7589. Again, Brittany T, 35 years old, last seen in January of 2023 in the suburbs of Boston. All right, want to take a closer look at our case for next week. This is the missing case.
So that's, I'll keep an eye on that. That happened January 10th, 2023, but I'd really like to see where that guy lived, to see, where that area is. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had something to do with it. All right. So we're going to go to this bizarre freaking case here. This is just so weird. Let's go here. This is the Kentucky sheriff here. This guy's freaking screwed. So I don't know if you guys have been following this here. So the Kentucky sheriff who unalived the judge basically in his own office here. Weird. So he's pleading not guilty. Well, how is he not guilty? They don't show this whole thing. They actually don't show him being, pew-pewed. But it's obvious that this guy did this. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? This
video now shedding light on a Kentucky County sheriff who is being charged with the shooting death of a judge inside of his court chambers. Sheriff Sean Steins made his first appearance in court last week. That video is just so hard to be able to watch there, where he pled not guilty. Police say Steins shot Judge Kevin Mullins multiple times last week after an argument inside a Kentucky courtroom. They have not offered any details about a possible motive.
I shouldn't be laughing. This is horrible.
Kentucky County sheriff who is being charged with the shooting death of a judge inside of his court chambers. Sheriff Sean Steins made his first appearance.
This is going to be a little triggering. This guy really wanted this guy gone. This is, hold on, let's check out. if you find this stuff a little bit disturbing, look away. But this just goes to show you, this guy really wanted this guy to not be living anymore.
In court last week, that video is just so hard to be able to watch there, where he pled not guilty. Police say Stein shot Judge Kevin Mullins multiple times last week after an argument inside a Kentucky courtroom. They have
opens the door. I shouldn't be laughing. This is absolutely freaking horrible. But he literally goes to the door, opens the door, but then decides, you know what, let's just make sure. And turns around, shoots him again. What is this
not
world coming
offering
to,
any
man?
details about a possible motive, but if convicted, Steins could serve up to 20 years to life in prison. So I want to bring in Chief Legal Analyst Colleague Rhodes' conversation right now. I'm just seeing that. So
How can the guy plead not guilty is what I'm saying. Like, how is this not guilty? I don't know. Hey, Luis Cuevas, good to see you. I always butcher your name. I'm so sorry. It's Luis Cuevas. It's so good to see you. Good to see everybody here in the chat. It's weird. What is wrong with people? Trying to get back. It's the most bizarre, I mean, people have really lost their shit, man.
so disturbing. I got to ask you first, it seems like there was some time there that was happening, and also to point out, as you mentioned off camera, that that's not where the shooting actually happened, but there was some conversation, it looked like. So this was a crime of passion.
Yeah, the original pause is not the shooting, and you can see he's looking for multiple angles. And when you look at the entire video, it looks like he got about 4 different shots in that situation. But his attorney argued that exact same thing. His attorney wants the entire video released prior to the shooting so they can see exactly what was happening.
When can you smoke in a building these days? He's actually smoking a cigarette, right? That's a cigarette right there. When are you able to smoke in any building? Maybe Kentucky. Is there smoking in buildings in Kentucky still? I know that's one thing these days here. Anyways, they keep showing this too. Sorry.
The entire video release prior to the shooting so they can see exactly what was happening, because his client is obviously telling them that something else was occurring prior to this happening. And you can look at it. This sheriff was already under a federal investigation. They had lunch together, him and the judge. And so there was already this personal connection multiple days before this shooting took place. And so because of that, his attorney saying, look, he shouldn't even be charged with murder. It should be a manslaughter charge. It should be heat of passion. The judge denied it, kept the murder charge there. But I agree with your assessment from looking at that video. The first approach is this looks like it's something personal. It doesn't just look like a random shooting.
Yeah, and also to be able to point out, though, because when you look at what's on video, again, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Make that point. But the video, I mean, we're seeing people on the video. We're seeing what's happening going on. If you did it, why plead not guilty?
Well, you plead not guilty because you save yourself for another day. Pleading guilty, the case is over right there. He goes to prison for 20 years to life. You plead not guilty, you get an opportunity for a preliminary hearing. At that preliminary hearing, his attorney will make an argument for a lesser charge. He'll make an argument for some type of pretrial release. He'll make multiple.
So this is the problem with the system, right? The problem is, right, yeah, that was years ago. I remember you could smoke pretty much. They had designated smoking areas. These days here, I mean, even in like North Carolina, South Carolina, I remember, like I said, we go to Florida all the time. We go to North Carolina, South Carolina all the time, and there was a time you could smoke anywhere still. But nowadays, it's not like that. You really need to, I need to look because I smoke. So there's some places you can't even smoke on the property. Like I got screwed once. We got into a resort down there, and they couldn't even smoke anywhere on the property. So I had to sneak my coffee down into my freaking car and smoke in the car. But and that's in the South. That's North Carolina. That's where tobacco came from. So, but for the longest time, it was you could smoke anywhere down there. But nowadays, it's not the case.
Arguments to try to put his client in a situation where he can get some type of lesser charge than what he was already facing, which was life without parole. And so the goal is,
yeah, I want to know why this judge had a his daughter's phone number in his phone. That's weird.
okay, we'll not plead guilty and we'll figure out what avenues we have. One of the things that the sheriff said is when they were arresting him, just treat me fairly. And he says, hey, they're trying to take and kidnap my daughter and my wife. Now, those are the statements that the sheriff made when he was arrested. And so he must have some alternate type of theory or defense, if he's this defense attorney, to try to figure out how he maneuvers him out of there. I will say this, the arrest in North Carolina is not a defense to murder. Mm-hmm. So even if you are under duress, you feel like your life is in danger and someone's threatening you to do something to force you.
If I don't have, when I get up, even if I'm on vacation, because it doesn't really change on vacation. When I get up, whenever I get up, doesn't matter when I get up. If I don't have my coffee and my cigarette, it's just not going to be a good day. And I need both of them, because if I have coffee and no cigarette, what's the sense of drinking the coffee? I mean, it's not the same. And it's the same reverse. If I have a cigarette and I don't have coffee, it's just so it's really important for me when I go on vacations to make sure that I, at least within walking distance, I have a place to get to my car with my coffee. Smoking is bad for you, though. I wouldn't definitely. That's why I don't like planes. That's exactly why I don't like planes, because I can't smoke on it. Me too. That's why I won't take a plane. I'm not going on a plane if I can't smoke. Just not doing it. Just because guess what? If for some reason the plane is having issues and we're going down in the plane, I'm smoking a cigarette. At least if you drive, you can stop, get out the car, have a cigarette, every 2 hours or so. But in a plane, that's the exact reason why I will not go in a plane. Not because I'm afraid of planes, it's because I can't smoke. So anyway, sorry, my tangent there.
That's not a defense to murder someone else.
Right.
So if you're saying that someone was threatening to kidnap your daughter, or threatening to kidnap your wife, whatever its allegations are, that still wouldn't be a justification to then do that as a defense in this situation.
Okay, so that's in North Carolina. In Kentucky could be different. But the question I have for you now is, when you see the video there and you see the access that the sheriff has inside to be able to speak with the judge. I know there's been other crimes that you and I both have been a part of in history, like Brian Nichols, that happened, I believe.
Yeah, I don't mind respecting other people's wishes. If I don't want to smoke around people. It's not like I want to smoke around people and get them, cancer too. So I don't mind going outside. I do that here. I refuse to smoke in the house. I've never smoked in the house. I go outside on the porch here. But if I can't smoke on the porch, why? Nobody's out here. It's kind of dumb, but I don't mind not smoking around people. I don't have a problem with that, but throw me out of the plane. Even if I'm around a bunch of crowded people, say we're sitting around a campfire or whatever, and there's a whole bunch of people there, I'll just, if everybody's sitting down, I'll get up and walk at least, a good 20 feet or so and start. I won't smoke in the group. I mean, I understand that stuff, but, I'm not about to just, if I'm on a porch or if I'm outside and nobody's around me, who gives a fuck? I don't, nobody cares. It's, Anyway, sorry.
Been
At this rate, though, people are going to be able to go outside and smoke a joint around people, and a cigarette is a no-no. Really, thank you guys. Appreciate the laugh thing.
2005 in Atlanta when a courtroom judge was shot and killed by an inmate there inside the courtroom. So do you think here in cases like this, you could have different procedures that would come out of the access of a sheriff being able to access a judge because of something like
I was right there in Fulton County. That I started my legal career in Fulton County. So I was in that process. And I recognized that it was a change. They were still on high alert. And I was there a couple years after it happened, but they had significant changes. What I can say in this situation is when you're in smaller counties, you do have access as an attorney.
There's literally nothing worse than smelling somebody else's pot smoke. I mean, it's just, especially when not being out have any. Like, oh my God. At least when people are drinking, you don't have to worry about, and I'm the type of person, I think pot should be legal, but, I agree with this statement right here too. Sitting on a balcony, it's terrible having to smell other people smoking pot from other balconies. It's absolutely. Yeah, well, I agree with that. 100%.
As law enforcement to those back chambers. In the larger counties, you don't. Mecklenburg County, you just can't randomly walk back there. But if I go to like a Union County or a Lincoln County, you can go to those places and you have clear access to the judge's chambers, to this back hallway area that the public.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with the guy that's talking here. Like, you can't just unalive somebody just because you have suspicion, or you're in this conspiracy thing where somebody's trying to kidnap your wife and daughter. Like, you can't that. But I mean, if there's evidence to prove it, then I think they need to maybe think about reducing the sentencing. Maybe, I don't know.
Doesn't have access to. So I do think something like this would spark some type of change. But the caveat is that this is a law enforcement officer, someone that's supposed to serve and protect.
Yes.
He would be the actual person that would be preventing something like this from happening. So even if you had protocol in place, I don't know how you shield that person off from being access to the sheriff's, from the judge's chamber.
judge. All right, Khalif Rose, we appreciate your insight, giving us such good context on this case right here as we continue to follow it.
All right, let's do one more on this thing here. This is a day ago. I don't want to play that one again. Let's do a little bit of this here. This guy here, Vinny.
This is the town of Whitesburg in Letcher County, Kentucky. The locals call this part of the country Appalachia. It's a place where folks get to know each other because there just aren't a ton of people living here. That community gets even smaller when you talk about the criminal justice system. Public defenders can become prosecutors, who can become judges. People who are related by marriage can be on opposing sides.
Yeah, I think it's 2024, for God's sakes. There's absolutely no reason for pot not to be legal. It's just, I know there's some really staunch people that, are still kind of against it, but I just think it should be legal myself personally. It's, within reason, obviously you don't want people, completely blitzed behind the wheel, or, but sitting in your home while you're not doing anything and sitting back and, smoking a joint. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. I never understood that, but what are you going to do?
It's inside the courtroom, and people seem to get along with it and figure it all out. It's just the way things are. That's why no one suspected anything violent or dangerous was going.
if I wasn't on Zoloft, I'd probably be smoking dope right now.
To happen when the local judge, Kevin Mullins, and the sheriff, Mickey Steins, had a closed-door private meeting inside the judge's chambers. But what happened inside there, no one in this small town expected. The sheriff asking the judge for his phone, then making a call from that phone. Then...
My dogs sit here and they see me talking to a computer. They can't see anybody. I wonder what they think. Like, has this guy completely lost his freaking mind? Who are you talking to? Oh, Archie Bunker. That's freaking awesome. Oh. Yeah.
Shooting and killing the judge. All of it was recorded on video. Sheriff Mickey Steins is now charged with first-degree murder after surrendering immediately afterward.
Shut up, use.
And now the community is finding out a lot more about what happened as the first court hearing takes place in Kentucky. Tonight, we'll show you exactly what happened in court and then break down the potential motive and what this trial will be all about as folks in Appalachia try to heal from this.
What's the matter with Heather? What's going on with Heather? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was a raging alcoholic for a long time. I haven't drank alcohol in, 20 years? You guys are so awesome.
Shocking courthouse shooting. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We learned a lot. We learned a lot today about the shooting of Judge Kevin Mullins. First of all, what became very clear is that the judge knew he was going to die moments before he died. That was crystal clear.
So we'll go to 2:30, right? Like, so it's 2:13. I'll go another 15 minutes and I'll get out of here. Pretty sure you guys have better things to do than this. So we'll go to 2:30.
He was apparently unarmed. The sheriff had a gun, and it was pointed right at the judge, and he started firing.
And then he went to the door to leave, and then he decided, you know what? I don't think I did enough, so let's just do one more, just for old time's sake.
The judge knew what was going to happen. He knew how it was going to end. The reason we know is there is shocking video of what happened inside the chambers. I'm going to show it to you in just a few moments. But the video is rolling. He does this, he's going to be locked
We've already seen that, so we don't need to see that again, right? I don't think, okay, so.
up, knowing as soon as he does this, he'll be charged with murder, knowing as soon as he does this, he's facing the rest of his life in a potential death penalty sentence when he does this. He knows the law.
Right.
So what we learned today is...
I don't know what Kentucky's laws are. It may be actually... it may be actually illegal to smoke in some buildings. I know one of the main reasons why they stopped smoking in buildings is because of the insurance rates. Yeah, I meant, sorry, Paula, I meant 2:15 for this live. So when we get to 2:13 for the live, yeah, it's 3:11. So by the time clock, the actual clock, the time clock, it's so we'll go till about 3:20, 3:20, 3:25, somewhere around there. Why? It's
is that those
Right now.
rumors that have been circulating on social media and all over Letcher County have some basis of truth to them. In answering the question why, it appears that moments before the shooting, the sheriff's daughter, her name, her phone number became part of all of this. So it appears much clearer today that answering the why of this is somehow, some way connected to the sheriff's teenaged daughter. Now,
I don't know if that's that must be in the deep south. I don't know. I mean, like I said, we kid all the time about the Waffle House on Steve's channel. But even there, I mean, I remember the last time we went down, I couldn't smoke anywhere. You know, except outside. Some places will still allow you to smoke outside. This little tiny, especially in hotels, they have this little tiny area where you can smoke out the door, you know. But even in restaurants, I don't think that some of these places don't even have like an area where you can smoke at all.
I told you I was going to show you the video. I'm warning you, it's real. This is what happened. This is the prosecution's case, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't last long, but you can see.
We already seen this, so we don't need to see that again. Let's go here. Very good.
Within 10 days of arrest, he's the state, or the Commonwealth in this case, is required to put some evidence in front of a judge to prove that there's probable cause to send this case up to the circuit court. So that video pretty much is the prosecution's case. Like, that was the sheriff. Here's the video of what he did. And we have evidence that the judge is dead, requiring probable cause for the elements of the crime. Very quick.
I'm very confusing, for sure. I get told that all the time here. I'm very confusing. I confuse a lot of people.
Was more, I'm not going to say interesting, but what was more probative of trying to unwrap and uncover why this is happening came through the cross-examination of Clayton Stamper, who is a detective from the Kentucky State Police. He is the case agent. He is the one who is leading this investigation. Take a listen to some of these details wrapped around the why of it and what the rest of the story is. Take a listen.
It's my understanding that video lasted much longer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to review the video
I have.
of the prior incident?
I have.
And can you describe for us what happened immediately prior to the clip that we saw?
Sheriff Steins uses his telephone to make some phone calls. He then borrows Judge Mullen's cell phone and appears to make a call on that. And that led to what you just saw.
Okay. So it's my
So he probably, from what I guess in this here, Zoloft is the only thing that works for me. Oh, that's terrible. That's awful. That's yeah, Ambien didn't do anything for me. I remember they gave me Ambien when I first went cuckoo. They helped me to sleep. The Ambien just it actually made it worse. Buck Hill Campground. Oh, fun. Missing last contact 96. Thank you for that, Karen. Yeah, I love my Zoloft. Zoloft and melatonin. What was I saying? I was saying something about, forget it. Never mind. Oh, so apparently he was probably, this guy here might have called or used a phone to call his daughter from the guy's phone, the judge's phone, and then realized that the phone number was on there. Something's going on with that whole thing, and I'd like to know more about that.
Understanding there were some people who were having a meeting with Judge Mullins prior to the sheriff's entry into the chambers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you identified those witnesses?
I don't know the names of them. There's about approximately 4 people.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be bad in Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Northern Georgia. Viagra works too. Tried the new one. Zoloft has a lot of side effects. Zoloft to me has been the best. I mean, they had me on lorazepam. I think at first that was horrible. When I first thought it was the Ativan, but I love my Zoloft. Matter of fact, I was out the other day for about a day and sleep. I love my Zoloft. And Zoloft was actually recommended to me by a friend. And it didn't work for like 2 months. I'm like, I almost gave it up. Like, this stuff isn't working, but it's kind of like a slow. The only thing with Zoloft is, like, sometimes when something does happen, you have no real emotion to care at all about it. Sometimes I don't know.
In there. Then Sheriff Steins enters the judge's chambers and everybody else clears out.
Once the 4 people that were inside that we don't know their names, once these 4 people had left the chambers.
I'm what, 57 now. So at best, probably another 5 years. So I don't think I have to really worry about it. The side effect thing.
Were they in an area adjacent where they could hear anything that was going on?
Yes, I believe some of them did remain in the next room.
Okay. And what did they tell us?
Do I?
What did they hear?
I've not been part. I wasn't part of those interviews.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're prepared for a preliminary hearing on a murder, and there are witnesses in an adjacent room.
I mean,
Karen's an awesome person. Is Karen leaving? Where is did Karen leave? Are you where's Karen? If you're leaving, Karen, good night. Have a good night. I know I hope you're feeling well, Karen. Karen's an awesome person. She does a lot of modding on a lot of channels. Hey, Barbara Hall, good to see you. Barbara Hall's in here. But take care of yourself, Karen. It's always good to see you. Karen's a great person. Period. It's good to see Barbara Hall in the house, though. I haven't seen Barbara in a while. Hi, Barbara. Good to see you. Yeah, Zoloft, I can't. If I take my Zoloft, I gotta be around some sort of a sleeping place because I'll be asleep in like 10 minutes. But I have, I think I have, what do I have? I have OCD or something like that. I have one of them.
They heard gunshots.
Can I put my question, please?
Yeah, let me ask the question.
Thank you, officer. So you are investigating a murder and testifying in a preliminary hearing, and there are witnesses who may have overheard what preceded this edit.
My wife says I have ASS, which is, I don't know if that's hereditary or Seroquel. I've never heard of that. I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's always good to see Barbara Hall. Barbara Hall's an awesome person. I hope Steve's taking care of you guys down there. I know Steve's on night off tonight, so hopefully he's chilling, taking a break, enjoying his life. Steve and Mrs. Steve and Miss Barbara Hall and the Southern Gal, they're all fantastic people. All right. So let's get back to this. We'll watch 5 minutes of this and I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Declare.
And it may come on later around 5 o'clock or so. Where's Charlotte? Hope Charlotte's okay. Do another tropical update, but we'll see about that. If you live, anyways, let's go back to this for a second.
Yeah, you can't tell us today anything that they said.
I've not personally listened.
So he's being charged. Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins charged with 1 count of first. So he's being charged with first degree unaliving.
Those interviews, I've talked to the other officers that did those interviews.
This may change.
Fair enough. And I mean, we're here at a preliminary hearing, as you know, that you can testify to hearsay. I'm asking you what they said.
They heard gunshots.
Okay. Was there any statements that they overheard?
No.
Were there raised voices?
There, one person stated that she didn't recognize him as being Judge Mullins' voice, but heard somebody say, "Help, help."
Of course, your investigation, did you ascertain that prior in the day there had been a lunch meeting between Sheriff Steins and Judge Mullins?
There was.
Pardon?
There was.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear your response. I wasn't being trite. So who was?
I do agree, though, that certain medications work different for different people. But I think there's a big difference between medications that work for women and medications that work for guys. I think there's a big difference because some of the stuff that I can take, my wife can't take. Because it gives her more headaches. And Luis, let me know if you want a wrench. I can give you a wrench. That way, if you have channels you want to post in here, if you have a channel, just let me know. Barbara, you take Ambien? See, Ambien didn't do anything for me. Ambien, in fact, Ambien made it worse. The doctor gave me like 2 Ambiens. I took 1, and I was more awake after that than you're not supposed to share my meds. That's called a peace pipe, bro. Oh.
Where did this take place?
It's a restaurant called Street Side, and it's just down the street from the courthouse.
Okay. And it's my understanding there were a couple of other people who attended the luncheon.
There were several, yes.
Okay. And at some point after that, they wrapped up lunch and left, obviously, and went back to the courthouse. Are you aware of anything so far in your investigation that would tell us there was any issues at lunch between Judge Mullins and Sheriff Steins?
No.
Okay. But someone on behalf of the KSB has spoken to those witnesses?
Yes, they've all been interviewed.
See, this is weird. Why would Sheriff Stein's daughter's phone number be on Judge Mullins' phone? That's weird. This is the lead investigator too, so this isn't coming from the defense or whatever. This is coming from the lead investigator.
And there was nothing unusual that had arisen during that luncheon?
I was told that the judge made a statement to Mickey about, do we need to meet private in my chambers?
Yeah, I literally swear by melatonin. I take the gummies, the 5 milligram gummies. I take 2 of those. I take my Zoloft and I take 2 of those gummies, and I'm freaking out like a light. If I don't have them, I'm not going to sleep. It's just not happening. But I swear by the melatonin. Right? Wouldn't you think they'd ask the daughter why the daughter's phone number on there? But this could get interesting. This could get to be an interesting issue here with the phone. I think it's a little strange how a daughter's phone is on a judge's. Anyways, I don't want to speculate, but that could be why this guy decided to do what he did.
That's all I was told.
Do you know the context of
I do
what
not.
the conversation was before that they would need to discuss in chambers?
I do not.
So it's my understanding that in the larger portion of the video that we haven't had
Thank you, Big Fish. That's funny.
access to, that there is a point when Sheriff Steins asked for to see the telephone of Judge Mullins.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And I would presume that you and the other officers you mentioned, when you secured the scene, that you secured those phones as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
And have you reviewed both of those phones?
They're currently at the forensic lab at this time being downloaded. I have had discussions with the people at the lab regarding.
All right, so that's that. I'm going to follow this because this is a strange. This was done 3 days ago, so most of you have probably seen this. Everybody on the planet's going to be covering this. This is a strange case, and if this case is going where I think it's going to be blockbuster. You won't get people to shut up about this case. So I'll try to follow it as much as I possibly can. Thank you, Vid. Thank you for that. Vid Inquiries has got her channel is fantastic. I was watching tonight in and out of the game thing here, football game stuff here, but Dave's not here. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Like I said, I may come on later and do a tropics update because we got more problems in the Gulf of Mexico here. That's probably going to affect Central West Florida later in the week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty good one. So I'll try to come on and do an update on that. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for coming in. The Vid Inquiries is unbelievable. She's got a great channel. Check out her channel. It's great. She did great Halloween stuff tonight, after dark stuff. Big Fish, Small Pond, thank you so much for coming in. Dean Johnson, you're awesome. Thanks for keeping the chat live. You're good. Heather Brown, you're awesome. I hope your stomach feels better. Heather Brown's an awesome person. Barbara Hall, you're great. Thank you. Thinking about you and your son Timothy all the time. But you're in good hands with Steve, Mr. Steve, and Mrs. Steve, and everybody. Southern Gal. Miracle Hearts, thank you so much for coming in. And if anybody hears from Jenny, let me know. Jenny, 867-5309. Miracle Hearts, thank you so much for coming in. Who else was in here? Luis Cuevas, thank you so much. Let me know if you need a wrench. Paula's got a great channel too. Did you post your channel in here, Paula? Yep. I think it's at Paula Fitzhenry. I'm not sure. A lot of great creators, a lot of great channels. Miranda Lee was in here. Miranda Lee's awesome person. Thank you so much, Miranda. I know that Dandy Linus was in here. Thank you, Dandy, for coming in. Who else was in here? I probably will miss some people because I can't scroll up all the way to the top here. Jocelyn was in here. Jocelyn's great. Karen Lee was in here. Karen Lee's an awesome person. Very good person, very good people. Let's see here. Who else is in here? Did I say Miranda Lee yet? Yes, I did. And if you can help out, Miracle Hearts was in here. If you can help out at all, I know I sent some money to the Red Cross last week for the poor victims over there in wake of Hurricane Helene. It's just been terrible. Just got to feel for those people. Like I said, if I had any time left for vacation, I would have already been down there helping out. Anyways, let's see who else was in here. I mean, that whole area is just completely devastated. I mean, you're talking about whole sides of mountains that just are not there anymore. Towns, complete towns. what's the one name of that town? I keep forgetting about. It's not Asheville. It's kind of like a resort over there. That place is gone. Literally, it's just gone. You can't pick it up. It's I think that's it. I think I got everybody. If I missed somebody, like I said, I'm sorry. Let's see here. Oh, you guys were talking about Metallica. I didn't see that. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. Everybody else, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I just when I'm on my own StreamYard side here, I can't scroll all the way up at the end of these chats because it takes forever. Yes, I knew it was going to be bad. I just knew. There's a lot of other ones too. I would have gone down. I literally would have left. Tuesday because I knew it was going to be bad. I just knew it. Whenever you get a dry, hot summer like we've had, especially down, western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee. I mean, it's been really hot, really dry, and then they got a little bit of a rainstorm before, Hurricane Helene hit. But when Hurricane Helene hit Florida, it didn't dissipate as much as people thought it was going to. And just you got to feel for those people. It's a beautiful area. There's some beautiful people out there. They're, Southern hospitality to the max. They're just great people. If you've ever been out there, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, love those people, love that area. So if you can contribute, do. But I would have, like I said, if I had any vacation time left, I would have been gone. All right. So, yep. Hope the bunny feels better. The bunny will be fine. But thank you for that vid inquiries. That's it for me. I'll see you guys later. Have a safe week. Be careful. Have fun. It's going to be good weather, I think, pretty much around. And I'll see you guys later. I'm going to get out of here. Hold on a second here. Let me see if I can do this. Yep, I can. Stay safe, everybody. Good night, all.